That's going to be one of the supportive Pokemon that they have in line with the Togekiss, the Dragapult, the Rotom, Excadrill, and Conkeldurr. And Jeremy playing some familiar faces as well with more of a sand-oriented team.
Yeah, I think I feel like I could probably count on my hand the amount of times Jeremy has not played Tyranitar in a tournament, because I don't think it's very often, including like 2018 formats. So he's a big Tyranitar fan, and of course this team benefits from having Tyranitar here with the Sand. Excadrill being a Sand Rush sweeper will have his speed doubled if the Sand is in effect on the field. Excadrill is paired well with a Rotom Wash that we've seen many of Rotom Washes running a Nasty Plot set, being more offensive in this format to make those Hydro Pumps really sting against opponents if they hit, of course. That's always the first problem. And then more supportive options down at the bottom in Arcanine and Togekiss for Jeremy, as he can potentially Intimidate and Snarl and Will-O-Wisp on the Arcanine. And then, of course, that Togekiss is able to redirect any attacks that would go into his sweepers like Dragapult and the Excadrill. But Jake is aware of all this, right? Jake knows Jeremy's play style, and he knows these very common Pokemon. So what can Jake do here to get the advantage in game one?
Might come down to those leads, which we're about to see now. Jake leading with Excadrill and Meowstic, and Jeremy going to be bringing out both supportive Pokemon, the Arcanine as well as the Togekiss.
So Meowstic is a Pokemon it's very safe to bring in game one, because you know it can instantly help your team no matter what. Jake is actually revealing that his Excadrill is Mold Breaker, so if the Tyranitar was able to set up Sand, that would not benefit Jake's Excadrill compared to Jeremy's as it will. Meowstic has options for Fake Out. It has options for the Prankster T-Wave, Thunder Wave, so it can instantly put one of Jeremy's Pokemon under paralysis and potentially having them flinch each turn. It gets a lot of different moves that it uses because of Prankster, like Light Screen and Reflect, potentially Quick Guard to stop other priority attacks. So there's really a world of status moves Meowstic can go for, and Jeremy's going to have to figure out what 4 he has.
That might be revealed pretty shortly here, but first it's going to be a couple of switches. Excadrill coming in for Jeremy and Conkeldurr coming in for Jake. Just going to set up a little bit here and maybe pivot, but look at this. Dynamax energy already coming to fruition for Jeremy. So very exciting to see a turn 1 Dynamax, and it's actually going to be the Arcanine that showed off that it had the Intimidate. So normally when we see an Intimidate Arcanine, it usually is running more of a supportive move set. So we'll see kind of what it decides to go for here, but Meowstic going for that Prankster Thunder Wave will paralyze this Arcanine before it can get anything done.
Arcanine saw a really juicy target in that Excadrill slot, and of course Jake switched it out because he was too worried about getting knocked out in one turn.
Yeah, and that Conkeldurr is going to take that one like a champ, but more importantly, this weather is going to get set for the Arcanine just in case it decides to go for another Max Flare next turn, if the paralysis allows.
Something where Jake switched out with his Excadrill, obviously defensively it helped because Conkeldurr took that somewhat better than Excadrill would have been able to. But he also avoided the question of, is my Excadrill Scarf, because we saw Mold Breaker. So he's obviously not, he doesn't need the Sand to be faster. So if he was Scarfed and went for a high horsepower into the Arcanine, it wouldn't have knocked out and it would have revealed it. So smart switch out.
Ooh, Meowstic going for a Charm. Excadrill's attack is going to harshly fall here. That's the perfect target for that Charm. And the Iron Head just trying to get some, maybe a flinch onto the Conkeldurr or just extra damage. But this Rotom Wash also going to take some really good damage.
Yeah, in the sun, that Max Flare did a lot of damage, a lot more than it would have, but thankfully for the Rotom, he had the Citrus Berry to recover it up more. I mean, that first Iron Head really did, thanks to the Charm, I think it did single-digit damage, so this Excadrill is definitely going to have to try to switch out and maneuver around on Jeremy's side if he wants to get any type of super effective damage off onto Jake's side, and this is what Meowstic does, right? It's been 2 turns already, and he still hasn't even been targeted. He could have a Focus Sash potentially. It's just such a menace if you let it stay on the field forever.
Rotom's gonna switch in for the Excadrill that switched out from Jeremy, and Meowstic now revealing its 3rd move, which is going to be that Fake Tears. So special defense going to fall really low for Arcanine to allow this Thunderbolt to get out as much damage as possible. But another Max Flare in the sun, that is going to be barely enough, barely able to hang on there for that Rotom.
That's really close. I feel like Jake was going into this match not expecting his Rotom to almost get knocked out from 2 fire attacks since Rotom's such a bulky Pokemon. But that could be giving knowledge to Jeremy that this Rotom might not be as defensively trained as you would assume a Rotom Wash can be. Obviously, the sun is up, so he does have the boost, but for 2 max players to almost knock out a Rotom there is definitely concerning on Jake's part, and he has to be wary of that going into potential future games. So is Meowstic just gonna run the whole gambit and show us the 4th move here, or is he gonna switch back to another fake tears or something else, or Thunder Wave?
We're about to find out. It's going to be the fake tears again. The fake tears now going into the Rotom, so smartly predicting that Arcanine was going to switch, and that actually is a huge heads-up play because Jeremy's Rotom is going for the nasty plot to try to get that special attack boost right back up. But the Thunderbolt is going to land into the Rotom too, and that's going to be a decent chunk of damage, but not quite enough to get the knockout. That berry able to keep that Rotom alive.
That just shows how strong a neutral attack can be, thanks to the fake tears buff or debuff, however you want to look at it, of lowering your special defense by 2 stages. It not only makes them weaker, but you stronger. And that point, it kind of renders Rotom's Nasty Plot mute on that turn, because he's now not able to take advantage of it because he'd be knocked out before he gets a chance to hit something with a Hydro Pump.
Meowstic's just continuing to put in so much supportive work where this Arcanine is going to have its attack drop from that Charm. Rotom, unfortunately, not going to be able to survive through that Thunderbolt, so will get knocked out in this scenario. But Arcanine going for a Snarl, the right target's not there anymore. This Meowstic's really just running those supportive movesets.
Right, it does break a potential Focus Sash if that is what Meowstic is holding, and so that is good for him. But look at that, it took 5 turns for an attack to target the Meowstic, and look how much he's been able to accomplish. He's charmed an Excadrill, who needed to switch out, charmed, I believe, the Arcanine. He's gotten a Thunder Wave off and 2 fake tears. This Meowstic has been such a nuisance in these 5 turns that even if it gets knocked out here, it's done enough of a job for the rest of Jake's team to really take advantage of, once he gets knocked out. Especially since we see his two damage dealers in this matchup are the Conkeldurr and the Excadrill. And if you make everything slower than Excadrill and Conkeldurr, then they'll be doing a lot of damage before they even get hit.
Well, Thunder Wave now again from this Meowstic, so Togekiss is going to be paralyzed. Oh, but the Excadrill, unfortunately, going for the Earthquake is going to actually hit its partner Meowstic too. But with that Mold Breaker, does get a chance to knock out this Rotom.
And yeah, that's why you run Mold Breaker on teams that don't have Tyranitar, because you don't really need the sand. You're not relying on it. So when you're Mold Breaker, you hit a lot of those pesky Rotoms that have Levitate, or other Pokemon that would have Levitate that you wouldn't be able to hit otherwise. For most of the time, for super effective damage, since Rotoms are all electric types. And then at this point, if he is Choice Scarfed, which we can potentially expect, that would be pretty nice to hit into Jeremy's Excadrill and his Arcanine as well, who's, even though he's getting Intimidate here, he still is weak to ground.
Still very weak. But the other thing for Jake as well is that they are down to 3 Pokemon, but 2 of the Pokemon on Jeremy's side are going to be paralyzed. Time to Dynamax, though. It's been a little bit of a while since we've gotten a chance to see a Dynamax, and this time it's going to be from Jake, and it's going to be that Excadrill that takes that Dynamax energy. Arcanine, a little bit before from Jeremy, was taking over that Dynamax factor, but it's time for Jake to get some damage done. The Imposing Meowstic's going to use that Charm, so Jake's Meowstic once again dropping the attack stat of this Excadrill, and a max steel spike here going into the Arcanine. It's already at we had a pretty good chunk of damage taken out of it so far. Is going to get another bit of damage off, but also increase that special just the defense.
Yeah, and the high horsepower also goes into it, and it's not doing much after that Charm. So this Meowstic's still proving effective. I think you kind of forgot that Jake didn't even Dynamax yet in this match, because it's been going on for quite a while, and that for him to Dynamax this late in the matchup, usually that does benefit the person who Dynamaxes late if they've been able to condition their opponent long enough that they didn't even need Dynamax. It shows that this late game potential sweep from Excadrill is what Jake is going for.
Well, Charm right into the Togekiss slot, but now it's some time for a Max Quake into the Arcanine. That's enough for the knockout, and that's going to leave Jeremy with 2 Pokemon left. We have the Togekiss that's paralyzed and the Excadrill that has done a great job of maneuvering around Jeremy's board in order to stay healthy.
And the Togekiss, obviously, its two same type attack bonus attacks, and Dazzling Gleam and Air Slash would be resisted into Excadrill. Excadrill also has the special defense increase from Max Quake, so he's really not too threatened by this Togekiss. It seems like if Jake can get rid of Jeremy's Excadrill on this turn, he would all but wrap up the game, because then he can go for an Iron Head into Togekiss on following turns. What might help is if Jeremy goes for Follow Me and he breaks through Paralysis here and he doesn't get flinched, that would be able to redirect the potential Max Quake into that slot, but instead he's going to go for the Protect. Did he go for Steel Spike into that spot?
Well, Meowstic's going to use Charm again. This Meowstic has been on the field since the beginning of the game, and Excadrill once again is going to take that Charm, but the Max Steel Spike will go through the Togekiss Protect and does about a quarter damage. That's still going to be a significant chunk, and that actually tells us quite a bit about how much more damage that Max Steel Spike would do without that Protect.
Iron Head doesn't even knock out because of the Charm, so this Meowstic, again, started the match in that exact position, has not moved, has just went for Charm and Thunder Wave, Fake Tears every single turn, and there's been no reason for it to switch around. So this Excadrill has a couple of defense and special defense boosts, so he's not too threatened by either of Jeremy's Pokemon. Jeremy's Excadrill has been charmed, it looks like, for a second time now, so unless he is able to get a crit out, this Excadrill damage output is really, really poor.
Excadrill going for the Iron Head. And now the opposing Excadrill from Jeremy going for the high horsepower. Ooh, it does connect, and it's going to get the knockout. It's a critical hit. Wow.
I didn't mean to will it into the world. I was just saying it's what he needed to try to come back.
Yeah, he definitely needed that critical hit, and the Dazzling Gleam is going to be enough now. It's just down to one more Pokemon for Jake versus the Excadrill and this Togekiss.
And the Conkeldurr does not want to see a Togekiss here, so the question, which I don't know, the calculation here is Conkeldurr faster after Paralysis than Togekiss? We're going to find out this turn, since Togekiss has its speed lowered from the Paralysis, because then he can knock out Togekiss here, live an attack or endure an attack from Excadrill, since he's been charmed twice, and then the following turn go for a Drain Punch or Mach Punch, whatever he needs to, into that Excadrill slot. So it's not over. That crit really hurt Jake on that turn and got a double knockout, but Conkeldurr might be able to bring it back. This Iron Head could get a flinch, though. That does more than any damage.
Oh, and the Conkeldurr flinches. Togekiss doesn't get paralyzed here. Does a chance to go for the Dazzling Gleam, and it's super effective, knocking out the fourth and final Pokemon for Jake in this game one.
Jeremy is such a calm player. He is able to sit through all of the nuisance that little cat was bringing with him by charming him and setting Fake Tears and paralyzing half of his team there, and he still made it through. Now he played to his outs. He never gave up. You have to give Jeremy credit for that. He knew he had to crit high horsepower to come back in that game, and the cards were in his favor, or whatever analogy you want to use there, because that's exactly what happened. And now, what do you do as Jake? You played that game almost perfectly to a T. Your game plan was working the whole time, and then you still lost.
Unlucky. Right. I would call that unlucky.
So
and you could see
the
Jeremy.
Same plan?
I kind of think so, because you could see Jeremy kind of shaking their head in that situation of like, I'm not really sure I was supposed to win that game. But, they did. So they have that 1-0 advantage at the moment. And Jake really did play that expertly in that first game. I don't think you really changed too much. Just hope that luck just doesn't go against you in the next game.
Something that Jeremy might want to do in game two is get rid of that Meowstic. I know every turn that you're wasting an attack into that supportive Pokemon, you could be dealing super effective damage into Excadrill or into Rotom Wash or somebody like that in the back for Jake. But I think that Meowstic was on the field for 8 or 9 turns, and he just kept charming and getting the Fake Tears. And if you get rid of that support, then Jake's sweepers are not able to be supported effectively enough to win that game. So it worked out in the end for Jeremy, not targeting down Meowstic. But if you can get rid of that, that brings a lot. It makes you a lot more calm that you don't have to worry about getting thunder waved and getting fake tears and charmed every single turn.
Absolutely. That Meowstic was definitely a thorn in Jeremy's side. It was just so impactful in that game, especially because Jake really forced Jeremy into an awkward position of having to continue to switch out their Pokemon, particularly because that charm ended up landing its target multiple times into the Excadrill, and you saw how little that Iron Head ended up actually doing in the end, except of course getting the secondary effect of the flinch. But the damage itself, the raw damage output wasn't very much, so that charm mattered a lot.
Yeah, and I think somebody like Dragapult could be a potentially good switch for Jeremy here, as it would be able to hit Meowstic super effectively, and it resists both of Rotom's attacks in electric and water. So we seem to be on those same wavelengths here with Dragapult.
Yeah, lo and behold, there's that Dragapult for Jeremy, and Jake actually leading with Rotom instead. So you have the Rotom as well as the Meowstic for Jake, and the Dragapult and the Togekiss for Jeremy.
And that Meowstic is instantly more threatened, right? Because we didn't see Meowstic's fourth attack. It could be Fake Out. He didn't go for it. It could be Protect, or it could be an actual, more common attack like Psychic or something. But if it is Fake Out, he can't Fake Out the Dragapult. So this Dragapult can try to hit it super effectively with either way. If it wants to go for Max Phantasm with Dynamaxing, if it wants to go for a Shadow Ball without Dynamaxing, and then you can try to set up later on. This Meowstic is instantly in a worse spot, and of course Rotom likes being here against Togekiss, so the Togekiss might be threatened here. But if this is a weakness policy Togekiss, it might really appreciate getting hit by a Thunderbolt.
Well, Jeremy's going for an early Dynamax yet again, and this time it's going to be the Dragapult that's the target for that Dynamax factor. And you just mentioned that Dragapult has such a great variety of moves, a great spread coverage in terms of what it's capable of doing, but it's not going to potentially get a chance to move this turn because the paralysis is going to land from this Meowstic. That Thunder Wave is going to work there, and the Thunderbolt now coming out from this Rotom is going to land some super effective damage into that Togekiss as well.
Not weakness policy, so that means it's probably on the Tyranitar.
Absolutely. That's definitely something to note, as we see an item revealed again from Jake's side. There's the Citrus Berry from the Rotom getting a chance to go through that range. And now the Max Wormwind as enough to knock out the Rotom, even though it had the berry.
Yeah, so we saw, we never actually saw what Jeremy's Arcanine's attacks were. We saw Max Flare, but was it Flare Blitz or was it Flamethrower? Whatever side that Rotom Wash is not invested in is also what that Dragon attack was, because it could have been Draco Meteor, but it also could have been Dragon Claw. So that information has not been revealed to us, but whichever one it was the effective way of knocking out the Rotom Wash in one hit. Yeah. I think this Togekiss, though, he's already so low. Dragapult has been paralyzed, so he's going to be moving slower than most of the other Pokemon on Jake's side. Togekiss you might want to just cut your losses and follow me this turn to redirect an attack away from Dragapult, but then you do have to worry if your Dragapult is going to break through paralysis.
Maybe not go for the follow me, but go for the Arcanine instead, particularly because there's a great Intimidate target on Jake's side of the field, which is that Excadrill. So Intimidate going to land on both Pokemon, but most importantly going to lower the attack stat of that Excadrill, which looks like might be Dynamaxing for Jake.
And now it's locked in to that Dynamax with its lowered attack stat. Obviously, you don't want to switch out after you've Dynamaxed because you only get those 3 turns to take advantage of. So these decreased attacks are not going to be as effective as Jake would have wished initially. So that was a very good switch for Arcanine, but the Meowstic was ready for it.
Meowstic ready with the Thunder Wave, wanted to be able to connect with either of those Pokemon. I think it's pretty happy about that. But the Max Steel Spike into the Dragapult is actually a really heads-up play from Jake, recognizing that, that Togekiss might actually go for the Follow Me, or it might switch out. So might as well get that damage and the Paralyze as well on top of that. May as well try to chip away at that Dragapult while they can.
That's exactly what Jake was hoping for on that turn. Now Jeremy has wasted that second turn of his Dynamax. He has one more option. Are you going to try to Max Wormwind to lower Excadrill's attack stat once more? If you do that, one, you're not doing a lot of damage to Meowstic, who got the defense buff, or you might still do more, but you're not doing a lot to Excadrill, who resists it. So Excadrill is able to stick around longer. And then this Arcanine now has been paralyzed too, so he might not really have he might get paralyzed and not attack on the same turn. So Jeremy is in a bad spot. But Meowstic has done its job, so he decided to switch out.
Meowstic going to switch out there for Conkeldurr, and now actually taking a turn of Dynamax away from this Excadrill is going to be this Max Guard. Dragapult, unfortunately, going to end its Dynamax here.
And that probably confirms, or no, it definitely confirms that the Excadrill is not Choice Scarf, because if he was Choice Scarfed, he'd have 4 attacks, meaning when he Dynamax, none of them would be able to turn into Max Guard. So he has at least Protect or Swords Dance or something that would actually turn into the Max Guard when he Dynamax. So at least Jeremy did get that information that he doesn't have to worry about a potential Choice Scarf Earthquake sweep late game from this Excadrill.
Excadrill is still posing a pretty big threat, but Jake is more than likely going to want to put that Excadrill in some kind of position in order to reset those attack drops that it's experienced so far, and it's going to get yet another one because of how well Jeremy has maneuvered these Pokemon. Arcanine is still finding value regardless of the fact that it is paralyzed, so Excadrill going for the Max Quake now, reading pretty well that this Dragapult is going to be able to take a decent chunk of damage, but let's see what this Conkeldurr is going to do.
That's a special defense buff also that would help it. So he has defense and special defense increases on his Excadrill.
Ooh, but Dragapult moving first because of the speed will be going for the Draco Meteor, and that's actually going to drop its special attack and also show off that it has that Life Orb as well. Conkeldurr now going for the Rock Slide is going to be enough to pick up the knockout onto Dragapult, and does a decent chunk of damage onto Arcanine as well.
I'd figured that the Dragapult was a special attacker since it did so much damage to the Rotom that way, and that might reveal Rotom is more invested either in speed and offense or in its defenses compared to special defense. So the Dragapult is fine with getting knocked out there since its a special attack was dropped from the Draco Meteor. Now Jeremy has his Excadrill in here with no stat decreases or anything. I believe Jake's Excadrill has been intimidated twice at this point, so he might want to switch it out into Meowstic just to reset its attacks there, or its stats there. Meowstic has done its job. He can't Thunder Wave Excadrill, obviously. He could Thunder Wave Togekiss, but Togekiss is so low health anyway that you might not need to Thunder Wave it. And yeah, it's a perfect time to reset on your Excadrill to get his attack stat back to normal.
Jeremy going for the Protect in case Conkeldurr decides to target that slot, and Arcanine using Will-O-Wisp now, was hoping to connect to that Excadrill, but Meowstic's not a terrible target either, will still be able to take that burn damage. Conkeldurr goes for the Drain Punch right into the Excadrill, so good heads-up play by Jeremy going for the Protect.
A nice turn. It was a safe turn to Will-O-Wisp the Excadrill slot no matter what. One, because if Excadrill stayed in, now he's burned and he can't get rid of that. Or two, at least you're going to get some residual damage off on Meowstic. This time around, Meowstic is not as tanky as it was in Game 1, because Meowstic was on the field for all of those Dynamax buffs to his defense and special defense.
Ooh,
now
Fake Out.
There's the fourth move, Fake Out.
Fake Out. And Arcanine is paralyzed, so there's not going to be any moves from Jeremy's side. This Rock Slide is going to connect with both Pokemon, and doesn't do too much to the Excadrill, but I don't think that's the Pokemon that Jake is totally worried about right now.
I think he's worried about the Arcanine because the Arcanine is the last thing standing between Excadrill and a win here and forcing a Game 3. So if this Conkeldurr is able to knock out Arcanine, one, it beats through Protect because it's going to hit both targets, so you don't have to worry which target is going to Protect here. If you get rid of Arcanine, then Excadrill can come in and take care of the opposing Excadrill and the Togekiss in the back.
Oh, great Protect again from Jeremy, just predicting that the Charm is going to come out from that Meowstic, and now this leaves Arcanine free to go for the Flare Blitz into Meowstic.
Oh.
Still not enough to get the knockout, and not even with the burn.
What's great with a prankster Pokemon like Meowstic is if you don't have to invest in any of your attacks, you can put it all into bulk and speed and live super strong Flare Blitzes like that.
Another Rock Slide. Arcanine's getting very close. Had to use its Berry, but Meowstic is still on the field to be able to go for another Charm. How is Excadrill going to maneuver around this one?
The extra drill might have to switch out into the spot into Togekiss. We actually saw that. We saw it earlier the other way around when Togekiss switched out into Arcanine, and the Arcanine ate the Thunder Wave. This time around, it looks like Togekiss is going to have to try to eat that whatever attack goes into the extra drill slot. If it's a Rock Slide, that's pretty rough for Jeremy, as the Arcanine and Togekiss are both low enough in their health to have it be a double knockout if both Rock Slides connect here. And it looks like Meowstic is just at a high enough hit point level that this turn won't knock itself out from burn recoil. So he'll have at least 2 more turns, this turn and next turn, if he is not targeted. But he is.
Yes, Meowstic was able to get off that final charm onto the Excadrill, but Excadrill firing back and unfortunately leaves it free for this Drain Punch, which takes it so low. This Conkeldurr putting in quite a bit of work from Jake will be able to heal up to full from that Drain Punch, and now Excadrill is pretty threatened here. It's sitting at low health and it's also charmed.
Right, and now Jake has his extra drill in the back, so he's able to sweep. He's able to sweep up at the end here with some knockouts. I think what was great with that Meowstic, that turn the extra drill left itself wide open to a Drain Punch. So it was actually all those turns where he's baiting against his Conkeldurr, like, oh, do I protect? Is he going to target me? Is he going to Rock Slide? Whatever. By having to get rid of the Meowstic because of Charm, because of how much of a nuisance that was, he left himself open to where a potential Mach Punch from Conkeldurr would knock it out, and then the following turns would have Rock Slides knocking out both Arcanine and Togekiss. So again, Jake has played both of these games really well. Unfortunately for him, he didn't win game 1 off of his strong play, but he looks to be playing pretty strongly here in round 4.
Very strongly indeed. Both of these players are sitting at an undefeated record of 3-0, and unfortunately one of them is going to have to take a loss to the other. But it's been a pretty close battle so far. That game 1 had me on the edge of my seat to see who was really going to take it home, because it did end up coming down to the very last couple of turns.
Yeah, and that extra drill was charmed and broke through and got the critical hit that he needed. So Jeremy might be looking for more luck on his side here in game 3. Like we said at the start of game 2, if you take care of Meowstic, then Meowstic can't do any of these shenanigans he wants to go for with Prankster, Thunder Wave, and Fake Tears and everything. And on the turn that he, again, finally got rid of Meowstic, Jake was able to take advantage of it and get a lot of damage with Conkeldurr. So the Dragapult was a really nice adjustment on Jeremy's side here. Does he go for that again and maybe switch it up from a Max Wormwind into a Max Phantasm instead, which would be a super effective hit into the Meowstic slot? Of course, if he Dynamaxes the other target, let's say he has the same lead of Togekiss and Dragapult, then neither of them can get fake outed, because we saw a fake out revealed as Meowstic's last slot. So I think it really is pivotal of how Jeremy deals with Jake's Meowstic in this matchup.
I would agree with that. Jeremy has also historically in these games gone for a very early Dynamax, and that's something that Jake has been able to play around really well. So I wonder if that's also something that Jeremy might want to keep in mind. It's pretty telegraphed at this point that there's going to be something like a turn 1 or turn 2 Dynamax, and maybe just wait a little bit. But also in this situation where you've got the Excadrill, the Togekiss versus the Togekiss and the Dragapult, this also might be the right opportunity to just go for it.
Yeah, what do you do here when you have matching Togekiss on each side of the field? Togekiss obviously is a Pokemon that enjoys Dynamaxing, but so do Dragapult and Excadrill. These are kind of like the poster children for Dynamaxing in VGC 2020. These 3 Pokemon are so effective when they're using it. So this is such a toss-up, because you don't know which of these 4 Pokemon would like to use that Dynamax option.
Dragapult's not going to, because it doesn't want to really be in that situation versus another Togekiss, where Jake has been not shy from clicking those dazzling gleams. And also in this instance where Jake is going for the turn 1 Dynamax, this is a lot earlier than we've seen Jake go for the Dynamax before, but this is a great opportunity to Dynamax that Togekiss and see how much big damage you can get off.
It's also a much more aggressive lead than he's had in the first 2 games with Rotom and Meowstic, so it would make sense that he's actually being more aggressive here on turn 1.
Absolutely. There's the Dynamax, and here's the turn 1 Dynamax as well. Jeremy's not shying away from this either, but it's not going to be the Dragapult. It's actually going to be their own Togekiss in this instance.
So now they might be matching each other's max airstreams, of course, just to keep the try to have the speed advantage on either of their sides. These Togekiss are thinking alike so far.
Going to be thinking alike. Excadrill going for the Earthquake, which is going to be super effective damage versus this Arcanine. Brings it to a little bit below half. But Togekiss going for the max Airstream right into that slot. Might actually bring it right into knockout range, and yes, it does.
That was a nice call. Jake expected the Arcanine to switch into that slot to intimidate it, so he went for the double target there. Obviously, EQ hits everybody, but with that max Airstream, and now he has the speed advantage.
Oh, the speed not for long though, because this speed is going to get matched by a max Airstream from Jeremy's Togekiss. So they're just trading max Airstreams here, having that speed war, and now we will see the third Pokemon from Jeremy, or actually the fourth Pokemon, which is going to be that Excadrill as well.
You never want to reveal, all four. I shouldn't say never, but very often you don't want to reveal all four of your Pokemon that quickly. Like, it's only been one turn, and Jake already knows all four of Jeremy's Pokemon, so he has that information advantage, as Jake has only shown his two Pokemon so far. This Excadrill is also really fast. It is faster than the Dragapult currently because of that one max Airstream boost. It would be faster than Jeremy's Excadrill, so he can go for another Earthquake here, and that's why Jeremy has to protect, because he doesn't want to eat an Earthquake.
Excadrill actually goes for the high horsepower though, right into that slot, so single targeted effect right into the Excadrill. But the max Airstream now going into Jeremy's Togekiss, just trying to match some of that damage and ensure that the speed is going to be on their side. Interesting that now this is the second time that we've seen Jake's Togekiss go first, and a second max Airstream now coming out into the Excadrill. That does so much damage.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not Dynamaxed, and he got a crit, so that would be a lot more damage than you would assume, as it's a resisted attack. But the problem for Togekiss on Jeremy's side is, even though he has the 2 stages of increased speed, the same as Jake's Excadrill is still faster than Jeremy's, and there's nothing stopping Jake from going for high horsepower or any type of ground attack into that slot, because he knows he'll hit the Excadrill super effectively, or he'll do some pretty strong damage to the Dragapult on a switch in. So Jeremy's kind of been pinned in that left slot because he knows something's going to hit it pretty strongly. Ooh,
but actually goes for the Iron Head. It's going to be super effective, and now the max Airstream as well, just doubling down onto the damage. That's not enough. That Togekiss from Jeremy is going to be able to cling on for one more attack at least.
Even with a crit, that's not enough? That's
Even
crazy.
with a crit, that's not going to be enough. So it's going to go for its third max Airstream right back at Jake's Togekiss. And one of Togekiss has more health than the other at this point.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's been traded at this point. It's just their HP, because they all click the same attack every
maybe
time.
not, though.
Now it's a big difference, though.
That's a huge difference, because that's going to be a knockout for Jeremy, taking out Jake's Togekiss. And that Iron Head ended up actually doing quite a bit more damage, just enough to get the knockout there.
Now, what does Jake have in the back here? That would be the Rotom. Rotom, unless he's running Discharge, which you could potentially see next to an Excadrill, but usually those discharges are saved for the Rotom Heat or Rotom Mob variances, not the Rotom Wash as often. He doesn't have he's going to have to waste the turn going for either a Volt Switch or Thunderbolt into that Togekiss slot. And since Jake's Excadrill is still faster than Jeremy's because of the multiple max Airstream boosts, he still is in a really good spot to either Earthquake, since he has the Levitate Pokemon next to him, or go for that single target high horsepower, which does have a minor chance to miss, though.
Excadrill goes for the Protect for Jake, so will not take damage from this turn. Ooh. And Jeremy's Togekiss also going for the Protect, sitting at pretty low health. But Jeremy's Excadrill now goes for the high horsepower, which is going to go into the Protect, and we're just trading Protects and damage. Unfortunately, no damage on this turn. Pretty mute. Kind
of in the same situation, though, right? As this previous turn, he was able to see what Jake's priority targets were, which was Excadrill on Excadrill and then Rotom on Togekiss. But at this point, unless you can try to get double protects, like, what do you have that stops it? A potential Focus Sash on Jeremy's Excadrill would be able to endure one hit and then go back and knock out Jake's Excadrill, who obviously is very low on health, so an Earthquake would take it down. But then how are you breaking through Rotom? You have you can't hit it with Earthquake because you're not Mold Breaker. Iron Head is resisted, and your Togekiss is really, really low on HP. Oh, but if you went for high horsepower, this is going to Togekiss. No, you went for the
No.
Iron Head to secure the knockout.
Yeah, will secure the knockout with the follow me. So heads up play from Jake, just recognizing that he's going to have to get something done here. And the high horsepower coming in from Jeremy is enough to get the knockout onto Jake's Excadrill. So we're trading knockouts here. It's going to be
Jake
a
is praying if Hydro Pump hits.
Yeah, Hydro Pump is going to connect. Is it going to be enough though?
Does he sash? He's
He's sashed.
Okay, so he is focused sash. He's going to live with 1 HP. Now the Dragapult is going to switch onto the field as Jeremy's last 2 Pokemon. If it's Conkeldurr in the back for Jake, which he does reveal, this is fine because he can Mach Punch the Excadrill, and this Excadrill is not going to get an attack off. But Dragapult has Draco Meteor. He has potentially Shadow Ball. He has ways of hitting the Rotom. But can he take out Rotom and Conkeldurr at the same time here? That's the difficult question.
They're both healthy. Excadrill goes for the Protect, potentially going to eat that Mach Punch. Conkeldurr goes for the Mach Punch right into that Protect slot.
Now you target down the Conkeldurr slot, potentially to get rid of it, but instead he thinks Rotom is the bigger threat. That's a 2-hit knockout.
That is going to be a 2-hit knockout, but Excadrill ended up going for the Excadrill ended up going for the Protect, so it won't be able to do any damage to this Rotom, and even still with the ability that it has. But yeah, Dark Pulse getting revealed from Rotom now onto the Dragapult does a significant chunk, and we might be moments away from seeing the victor of this series.
That's 2 rounds in a row. We've seen 2 different Rotom forms using Dark Pulse as that tech option to hit ghost types, this time being the Dragapult here.
Tried to go for the second Protect, but unfortunately the Excadrill's not going to be able to get it. You were right about the 2-hit knockout though onto the Rotom, so yeah.